Hey there, it's Rachel Mullins, the host of Hashtag No Filter Fridays on Public House Media.
Welcome to Beauties and Headcanons, where we're nerdy, and you probably are too. I'm Lindsay. Hi. I haven't talked with you guys in a month. Well, anyway, I'm here to talk nerdy to you. Here with Tegan. We have a really cool announcement for this episode. I don't know if we're going to keep people in suspense, or maybe we should say it now. I don't know.
Let's go ahead and get it over, because I have been kind of mentioning it here and there.
Like for the whole month, right?
Yeah. I'm sure, our listeners, if they, follow us on social media, are kind of sick of this. What announcement.
Right. Yeah. What announcement are you guys talking about? So, after a lot of talk, Tegan and I started out this journey on Beauties and Headcanons with our former co-host, Emily, with Public House Media. And it has been an amazing journey. It's been a lot of fun. But we have decided to no longer work with Public House Media, and to find a platform that Tegan and I can kind of branch out and do what we love doing. Our whole everything behind the podcast isn't going to change, but we are going to have the opportunity to not work with Public House Media, and that's going to be an awesome opportunity for us. So that is the big announcement.
Yeah.
This episode is kind of going to sort of say hello and goodbye to what Beauties and Headcanons has been up until this point. And what's really cool is, I have gone through a lot of changes. I think it's actually been 2.5 years we've been doing this show. Does that sound about right?
About right, yeah. That sounds...
Yeah. So, and when the show first started, it was in August of 2017. Mm-hmm. And that was with Emily and Erica. And they did episodes every week for a while. And then Emily reached out to me. And Tegan and I both started co-hosting once a week for about 1.5 years. And then when Emily had... another child. I don't know how many kids she's up to
Number
now.
4.
But when she did, we were able to send her on her merry way to be the amazing science nerdy mother that she is to her 4 kids. And Tegan and I were able to take over this adventure, and we've had a lot of fun doing it. But I honestly didn't even think of myself as a nerdy geek type person when we started recording. I think most people who know me better than I know myself a lot of the time. And that was one of the things I really wanted to kind of talk about with this episode, because I never really thought of myself that way. But through Beauties and Headcanons and the headcanons you get to and the things you get to discuss with your friends, that sort of stereotypically makes you a nerd or a geek are things that I love doing, which is why Beauties and Headcanons has been such a fun niche for me, because I've been able to talk Tegan's ear off about things that I'm passionate about, and then she's been able to do the same. So, well, at least I hope so. I hope you've been able to do the same.
Oh, yeah. I introduced you to all kinds of weird gaming things, and you're like, okay.
Yeah, and I'm like, huh. That sounds interesting. I would have no idea where to start with that, but okay, cool. So, yeah, I don't know. What's next?
So real quick before we dive into the rest of the episode, I did want to briefly touch on Gaming Corner, because
yes,
we had some exciting news come out, at least for me personally, this past week or so. So Obsidian had released The Outer Worlds last year, which I dove into and absolutely love and adore. It's one of the things a particular friend of mine and I really talk back and forth on almost every day. We talk about The Outer Worlds and something about it and the characters and the world and just something involving The Outer Worlds. And so last week they had said previously that there was going to be some DLC material. There wasn't anything other than the acknowledgement that, yes, it was going to exist. There was, like, no timeline, nothing about it, anything like that. So I kind of, like, put it in the back of my mind, like, okay, you know, it'll be there, cool. I'm not going to, like, think about it and dwell on it. Well, within, I think, the last week, they actually dropped that, oh, yes, so our first DLC for The Outer Worlds is going to be dropping on September 9th. It's called Peril on Gorgon, and it's supposed to be this fun little mystery thing that takes place on this asteroid named Gorgon. And they said, I believe, that the playable area is going to be comparable to that of Monarch, which is one of, like, the main planets you go to in-game as part of the main quest line. It's pretty sizable. It has a lot of different areas, a lot of different things to do and look into. So, I mean, to me, that seems hopeful that it's not going to be like an Arkham Knight 10 to 15 minute play and then you're done. And for the one DLC, I believe it's $15. They are going to be coming out with a second DLC, and they said if you want to go ahead and buy, like, basically a pass or whatever to get the second one when it drops, which they haven't released any information on that, but they said you can buy, like, a pass or whatever for, like, $25, and you get both of them, no questions asked. So, I know, like, I always rant about, like, pre-orders and how they're just unnecessary and how I don't like them. In this case, I'm actually kind of considering doing that because Obsidian has their business practices and everything, I think, have really shown that, they're not going to be, shuffling you around like some of the bigger companies do sometimes, like EA and Bethesda and everything like that. They're going to, give you a quality experience if, you just give them a chance. So, you know what? I think I might actually give them a chance on this then. Go ahead and drop the $25 and then I'll just get both. And then whenever the second one drops, sure, then I'll have it. So yeah, that's the exciting little gaming corner. Some new little adventures right around the corner for me in the gaming world. At least that will keep me occupied until whenever Cyberpunk 2077 decides to drop, if it doesn't get delayed again.
Okay, so wait, Cyberpunk was delayed again?
Mm-hmm. It was initially supposed to be released in April, right? And it got delayed to September. And then, I think last month, they came out and said, oh yeah, it's delayed again until November.
Okay. So it's coming out for my birthday. That's fine. I can do it.
Maybe? I'm
maybe
hoping.
in November I'm going to actually have time to do it, or to play it or something. I don't know. I'm asking you all those questions about what I need to download and what I need to be doing, yada yada. We'll see. Okay, so, Tegan, do you feel like you've developed it all throughout our 2.5-year journey?
Oh, definitely. I mean, both within and without the podcast. I mean, I think we naturally go through, like, phases and things with our fandoms. I think, we talked about this before, with, like, falling out of love with certain fandoms. Yeah. And, I've definitely, like, developed certain niche interests. Sometimes even just because of, coming up with topic ideas and researching and things like that. I'm like, ooh, this is interesting. Like, I got, really interested in learning about different things about physics and string theory and stuff like that. I mean, it's kind of all, like, mind-blowing things, but at the same time it's really interesting to, like, sit and think about and learn about and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. So I mean, that's, before I would have said, like, no, like, physics, ew, like, that's math and I don't like math and no,
right,
but when you kind of just sit down and talk about concepts, I think that's when it starts to get interesting, at least for me. So I mean, that definitely has been one big thing that I think I've kind of grown into and kind of embraced since the podcast. Opportunity
to research something with a set goal point has been really fun for me. My very first episode, I actually had decided I wanted to look into Infinity Stones and what the deal with them was. And for a long time there, I could watch Star Wars, or I could watch Marvel movies, or I could watch anything, and it was literally the cinematic features of it. There was nothing about... I just wasn't interested in the lore, the mythology, the detail that went into each storyline and each interconnection of each movie. And now, like, having done this podcast and having worked so hard on kind of developing myself as a nerd or a geek or whatever I'm calling myself nowadays has been like the most fun part for me, because at some point in time I had to rewatch all those movies, all those things again with a new eye for the storyline, the ideas that were being presented. And geez, even recently I started watching Rise of for Star Wars recently again, just to have like background noise while I was packing. And I would find myself stopping and listening to something, and it was like listening to the first time, because I didn't even realize it the first time around. And I've never been one of those people who can watch the same movie over again within a certain period of time. You know, like, it's always like, okay, give me a year and maybe I can watch Rise of Skywalker again.
Yeah.
But I've found myself rewatching just to catch those things again, or just to enjoy things again, and in a really short period of time, which is a new concept for me. That's not something I ever did before. And even like having information stored in my head where I was unable or unwilling to look up that information previously, now there's a whole bunch of things that I want to know more about, whether I have time to learn those things or not. And also what I think is really funny too is with books. I think during our recordings of Beauties and Headcanons, I actually finally read Harry Potter and all 7 of them, just so I could kind of nerd out with you and Emily for a while there. And it was even now I think I could pick up all 7 books and reread them too. And that wasn't something that I ever, like, I don't have enough time to watch all the movies over again and to read the same books over again. And I was even talking with a pharmacist that I work with very recently, and he was asking me what I meant by saying that Harry Potter ruined other books for me. And I was like, well, why would I invest in a story that I don't know is going to be any good when I can reread Harry Potter knowing how much I enjoyed it? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It's like now you feel like you understand a little bit more in the enjoyment factor of certain things.
Yeah, it's like, and it's so funny too, because it's not even about like being able to slow down and chill and enjoy those things, but that's part of it. Like being an adult and saying, okay, I know that I've got this list of things I want to geek out about. I need to watch The Expanse. I loved Battlestar Galactica so much. Maybe I could watch that again. All the other shows that are out there that I definitely want to watch, but like kind of embracing the novelty of knowing your fandoms and knowing what you love about them is the difference. Because for a while there, I don't even know if I was saying, oh yeah, I'm watching Doctor Who, or oh yeah, I'm currently rewatching Star Trek. I don't know. Not that I did, but I could have. And that would have been something that I wouldn't necessarily have been terribly proud of, or had people I could talk to about that, or it wasn't something I could have a conversation on. And now it is, and it's something I'm proud of too, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, like, being able to connect with fandom is, I mean, honestly, one of the integral parts of being a nerd, being a geek. Not that it's required, but it really kind of makes the experience even richer when you can connect with other people who also like the things that you like. In like my personal life, I've been kind of backing off on social media in general. Not completely, not that I'm going to like cut everything off or, deactivate all my accounts or anything like that. But just because I swear, I don't know, maybe people are just like more stir crazy because of, having to be in quarantine and
you do not need to explain this to me.
Yeah, I swear. I swear people are just way more squirrely and just looking for conflict, and especially when there are things that can be like, just, really big button issues that, are just kind of, even more so. And so it's, it's like, I really don't need all of that.
Yep.
Like, I honestly go on Facebook maybe once or twice a day now, if at all.
Sure.
Like, there are some days I don't even log in at all. And, I keep my messenger on. So, like, if you need to talk to me, obviously, you need that avenue. But I've honestly, like, the only social media type of thing I'm on pretty much 24/7 right now is Discord, because I'm on a certain server with a bunch of other geeks, mostly focused on writing, but like, we geek out about certain things as well, and we have like different channels to talk about like Fallout and other games and other fandoms and things like that. And it's really great sometimes to just sit and just chat with other people who I know will get me, who I know will understand me, and I don't have to worry about, somebody coming in and trying to like ruin this little, bubble that we've created for ourselves. That kind of peace is amazing. And, the other day I was kind of feeling bad because, I've been trying to, do Camp NaNoWriMo, which I finally finished yesterday. But that day I didn't really get anything done. I spent like most of the day on Discord, but I was like, you know what? I've really just been not feeling very good lately. I've had so much stress in my real life going on right now, like not related to the podcast, but just like with things in general. It's been stressful, and, sometimes I need that space to decompress and just talk with other people who I know are like-minded and, just basically kind of distract me, but in a good and healthy way. And, the day after, like, I felt really refreshed, and I was able to, like, really, like, dive in and work on the project that I was trying to work on. So, it definitely, geekdom and fandom in general definitely has its place, even if it's just sitting down and nerding out with people, that can be, a stress release or, an avenue to just, let everything out and relax, even if just for a little bit. So, I definitely get what you're saying with that, with, being on your own and nerding out is one thing, and it's great to have that individual experience, but connecting with a wider thing than yourself just intensifies that experience, and it makes you want more.
And I know for a while there, we were always being asked, what is your goal? Or maybe I just had a friend who was asking me, what is your goal with the podcast? Like, what's your initiative? What do you want to have happen? And more than anything else, I always wanted to be like, okay, this would be something where you could insert yourself in the conversation, being someone who is passionate about that fandom or that topic or that headcanon. It's supposed to be about, well, for me, it was always about having a conversation that you could see yourself in, participating in, and having that kind of an outlet for people. So I think we've accomplished that many, many a time over. And it's been so much fun for me to kind of realize how much of a need there is, especially now, in the current climate between political views and health stuff that's happening right now. We truly are social people, and we are at that point where we understand how social we need to be in order to survive. And you and I have talked about this very recently about how much social interaction certain people thrive on, but it's still important to know that, and without that social interaction, you can't know what the ideal amount is for yourself.
Yeah. And, we always, especially, right now, we want to make sure that we have this podcast out there so that, y'all can come to us and you can listen to us and we can talk nerdy to you. And, we can be this little like haven where you can just relax for a minute, and I've always, I've never really wanted to be like any kind of gatekeepery, with geeky things on here because, we all geek and we all find things at different levels. I've liked certain things since I was young, when I was really little, you know, my fandoms were pretty much like Star Wars and Star Trek, and then I liked Lord of the Rings when it came along, you know, but, you know, in my late 20s, or mid to late 20s, and then early 30s now, like, I've really kind of embraced a lot of different things that I either wasn't sure on, or, you know, I was like, oh, well, I'll get to that someday, but, you know, just hadn't gotten to it yet, you know, the eternal,
Right.
I'll get to it.
Well, it's funny you say that,
know?
too. Like, we don't have more time. It's the time, we don't get more time. Like, we...
Yeah, we have to make that time. And so
exactly,
I feel...
you have to make the time for what you are passionate about.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what this is all about, is making time for what you're passionate for.
Yeah, and if you're, you know, newly in the geek world or newly in a certain fandom, you know, like, that's okay. Like, I've fallen into, you know, several fandoms that are older, that are definitely, like, way older, like, even decades old. But, you know, I still enjoy them just as much. And, you know, when you get into a new fandom, there is sometimes a little bit of hesitation, like, ooh, people have been into this for a while, and, you know, I'm such a noob, you know, but it's, you know, everybody was that way at one point of time, you know. As I'm sure a lot of people have figured out, you know, I have really gotten passionately into Dragon Age, and, you know, I mean, Dragon Age Origins was released back in, 2008, 2007, something like that. It's been over 10 years since the first Dragon Age game came out. And, you know, so it's kind of intimidating in one way, getting into a fandom that you know is older and established, but at the same time, it's like, well, nobody was really in that fandom until the game came out. You know, this was brand new to somebody then, too. So, you know, we are all geeking and learning at different stages, and that's okay. You know, you don't have to just come into a fandom and just automatically know everything. And if you come into a fandom and... Oh, go ahead.
No, I was going to say just that, like, it's kind of cool coming into a fandom that's so well established, though, too, because there's a wealth of knowledge, a wealth of things. I'm always, like, blown away. My mind is always blown by Star Wars because of the people who were able to read the EU and were a part of, you know, George Lucas saying, oh, that's canon, and then that being taken away by Disney and all that stuff. Like, being kind of dropped into that kind of chaos with so much information to
just parse out.
Yeah, it's kind of fantastic. It's overwhelmingly fantastic, but fantastic nonetheless.
Yeah. And, you know, if, you know, say you get into a fandom and is like, hey, I like this, but it's not something that, you know, say I just want to dedicate hours and hours of time to, you know, and that's okay too. You can stay a casual fan of something and still be a fan. You know, it's one of these things I think social media in particular has played into in a negative way, you know, that Lee and I kind of discussed a little bit in our last episode, where, you know, there are gatekeepers in pretty much every fandom. There are toxic parts of almost every fandom, and, you know, it's really sad that, you know, we have to be like this. I think it's unfortunately part of human nature, but, you know, that's why I kind of, you know, really curate my whole fandom experience. I kind of, you know, focus on, you know, different maybe Facebook groups or Discord servers, and then I, you know, if I see any hint of anything that I just don't like, I can leave. And I do, because it's like, I don't want to feed into that. I don't want to, you know, just, you know, sometimes it's better to just narrow it down and enjoy what you enjoy with people who also enjoy it. And not that you have to, like, agree on every little thing, but, you know, there's a difference between disagreeing with somebody over something and then making it a whole big fight and, you know, tons and tons of drama, you know, because of some disagreement. Like, you know, some people want to do.
Well, and I can also say, like, what's so interesting to me is the fact that we've always tried to make sure we had an open mind throughout the whole podcast experience with Public House Media. So I have always been like, you know, I never want to pretend I know a whole lot about anything or am any kind of wealth of knowledge in anything. I'm willing to learn or hear anybody's theories about anything. However, in our current social media climate, that's toxic. Like, you could be that kind of person and learn anything that you want to learn in and or the worst way. I know that we are in a place right now that if you wanted to look up information that wasn't quite correct, you could go ahead and do that. And you could look up the right stuff, you could look up the wrong stuff, you could kind of pick and choose whatever you want to hear, and there's some kind of media presence about it, which is kind of the same for fandoms when you think about it. If you have a fan theory, there are going to be people who want to hear your theory and want to talk about what you want to talk about. Very recently, I watched Force Awakens again, and I believe when Force Awakens came out, or the first time I watched it, or the first time we talked about it on the show, we were talking about how whether or not Han Solo knew that Ben was going to turn the saber on him. And there's a whole bunch of people who think that he did. Yeah. And I'm still not sure. It makes me want to watch that scene over and over again, but I can't lose Han that many times, so I haven't been able to do that. I get sad every time, and I still know it's going to happen. I don't even know what's wrong with me, but I can't bring myself to do it just so that I can try and find out. Because, people are like, oh, well, who turned the blaster on? I don't know. Anyway, so I just think it's interesting to me that we have tried very hard to stay open-minded. I've never pretended to be a wealth of knowledge or a end-all, say-all on any topic. And that has been really the best part of developing as a geek, because I truly have been able to embrace so much about not having enough time to learn everything that I want to about all the fandoms that I really want to be a part of. Whether I actually am or not. I used to go to a couple of conventions. I was working for Anime Milwaukee before I could even really call myself a geek in any way. And I was always like, C2E2, this convention or TeslaCon or whatever. The conventions that I was looking forward to so much, in the next so many months that may or may not be able to go to, or even the Renaissance Fair, I was not someone who ever thought, okay, I'm going to dress up for this. This is the costume I'm going to come up with. This is my cosplay. This is what I'm doing. And I am so totally into it now. Like, I am designing everything under the sun for every possible convention that I could possibly want to go to. And that I definitely attribute to, like, talking with you and Emily and working through, like, what I really want to project out to people. Because I think at some point in time I was inundated with the idea that I don't need to fly my geek flag, that I don't need to be one of those people. And I totally am one of those people, whether I pretended to be or not. Like, I definitely needed to embrace that part of who I am. And it has made me that much cooler. Like, seriously.
Like 2017 Lindsay compared to 2020 Lindsay.
Well, 2020 Lindsay's dealing with all kinds of other nonsense, but...
Well, yes. But that geek flag is up there.
Yes, it is. Well, and there was one other thing I wanted to also mention, too, that what I think is interesting is when you have a person who they're into something, right? Like, let's say that they're really into Star Wars, and you go to their house and they've got, like, Star Wars all over the place, right? They've got pint glasses in the cupboard that are Star Wars, and they've got, all the little gizmos and gadgets, and when somebody buys them something for Christmas, that's all they think about. They go, oh, what's new with Star Wars? I'll buy them another Star Wars gift, right?
Yeah.
So, and we can talk about that some other time, where it's like, do you really just want to buy them whatever kitschy Star Wars thing there is? But also the disappointment in going to their house and them not having anything like that. Or even like going to someone's house who doesn't have a fandom or a geekdom or a thing.
It's like, how do you decorate then?
Right, like how do you?
It doesn't compute to me.
How do you do this? How do you function without like living in your fandoms? Like, having taken down all of this stuff because we're currently in the middle of a move, trying to decide where everything's going to go and kind of like wanting to render a livable, clean house, but then also like knowing you have to represent who you are as a person and as a geek or a nerd. That's also so awesome and a really cool challenge to have, honestly. I am always, I've always got knickknacks and stuff from last year and the year before that and all the things, but now I've got this like collection of con badges and stickers and figurines and all these things that need to have a home in my home, and I just think that's such a cool problem to have.
Oh yeah. I mean, that's, part of like creating your own space and, owning something is just, you get to imbue the certain space with your essence. And, obviously part of our essences is our different fandoms.
Right.
I mean, with the house that I have right now, I don't have a whole lot of things to do with it just because it's not a big space. And so like, it's
sure
kind of hard to display certain things without it just looking like clutter because I don't have a whole lot of space to do that. But I mean, I think what I would really love to do is like start getting like art prints and things like that. Like I know I have like some friends that have like Redbubbles and stuff like that, where I can just like go and I can just buy a print and just, put it on a wall,
yes. And a lot of those companies actually, a ton of the profits go to the artists.
Yeah.
So
yeah, I do
cool
have a couple of friends I actually
option.
know personally who sell things on Redbubble, and so I'm definitely gonna like buy some things from them first and foremost. But like just like searching on that site, I mean, like I can find just tons of different things on there related to fandoms, and I'm just like, yep. I'm gonna do this. That's a part of my whole like shtick that I wanted to do. Like when I started, the Fan Art Friday, I wanted to support, the local artists, which, I mean, in the digital age, everybody is local. It doesn't matter if you're halfway around the world. You can still see their art and you can still support them. And I mean, to me, that's still local, technically.
Right.
I don't know.
Well, that thing you said about the fine line between like supporting your fandom and flying your geek flag and clutter is seriously a big deal. Like we're currently marrying two homes, and there's an awful lot of potential for a lot of clutter. I am probably on my 100th trip across Milwaukee. Okay, that's an exaggeration. It's not 100, but the amount of stuff I have and the amount of times I've just wanted to like burn it all has been pretty strong this week because I am tired of looking at all my junk. But I also, have there's a lot of stuff, but there's a lot of stuff I can't part with, and there's a lot of stuff that I want on the walls, and that problem is so very real too. Like I feel it in my bones.
Oh yeah. I mean, I've gone through one. I'm probably due to go through another, like Marie Kondo-esque, cleaning out and just look at things and not think of it as, do I want this item or is it useful to me? But, ask the eternal question, does it spark joy? Because there are plenty of things that I have just, lying around that is like, it's cool and all, but it doesn't really do it for me. At least not anymore.
I have that same problem with my clothes and my jewelry. Like, I need to stand there and be like, okay, if I put this on, will it spark joy? Like, if I put this on and stand in front of a mirror, is it going to spark joy at what I look like? Because if it doesn't, maybe I need to Goodwill this stuff. Like, my goodness, I can't keep all of it. It's not... I don't want to have to move like this ever again.
Yeah, so I mean, it's
Marie Kondo my whole place.
Yes.
Like, I'm just, nothing brings me joy. It's all a bunch of stuff. But with the exception of, you know, a few things, the little, a few of the figurines, I don't think we could ever part with all the Legos, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Like,
The things that really
need to stay.
Yeah, the things that really mean things to you. Like, you can look at them and say, you know, just maybe have a good memory about them, or just, you know, feel good about it, or, you know, it just provides you with that extra little good mental boost, you know, when you see it, or when you use it, or when you wear it, you know?
Absolutely. All right, so in the end, we are geeking out and nerding out about everything as usual. We definitely still want everyone to talk nerdy to us. We get to keep our social media, and we are excited to keep Beauties and Headcanons going.
Yep, and I've actually been working hard to like redesign our logo, because, you know, since we're doing, you know, basically like parting from PHM, I wanted to like redesign the logo and have new things and new products for us, because, you know, just kind of like a changing of the guard, you know, kind of like a, you know, just like to signify a visual change and from, you know, our era with PHM and then our era independent of PHM. Not that it was bad, but it's just going to be a little different. I'm excited to buy all the merch. Yes. And so, like,
I'm gonna...
I've been, like, setting it up. I think I am going to use Redbubble. But I've been, like, you know, designing the logos and stuff like that. So that will be premiering fairly soon, I think. There's a few things, like, I want to play around with and, like, run by Lindsay still and everything. But yeah, I mean, I've been having lots of fun this past month, like tootling around in Canva and doing different things and trying different things and everything. It's been a really cool learning experience to do that. So yeah, so just keep an eye out on our social medias. Our social medias aren't going to change. We're not going to make new pages or anything. They're all going to be the same thing, which let me go through this again. So our Facebook page, obviously, I'm going to take off the PHM part, so it's just going to be Beauties and Headcanons. For Twitter and Instagram, it's Beauties_Canons, and then for Tumblr, it's still just Beauties and Headcanons. So just keep an eye out on our social media pages. I'll be sharing new logos. Once I get the store up and running, I'll be sharing the link to that, so you can buy new merch if you want merch with our new logo. Likewise, if you want any merch with our old logo, I'd advise go ahead and buy it now, because it's not going to be available for too much longer, because this is going to be our last episode. And I believe, like, you know, just starting in August, I don't believe it's going to be available anymore. So yeah, go ahead and, you know, just buy what merch you want, or hold off and stay for the new merch. I will be updating hopefully soon on that.
And also, if you guys have anything that you want to hear us talk about, as usual, you are more than welcome to let us know. We'd love to hear your topic ideas and what you'd like to hear us talk about. If you would want to talk to us about it, we are always welcoming of our listeners to participate, to you know, yell at us about whatever they want.
Yeah, I mean, if y'all have a mic and you have a computer with an internet connection, you could even come on the show if you really wanted to.
And with that, I think this is the episode.
Yep. So this is our last PHM episode. So thank you so much to Public House Media for giving us this platform to start on, and to give us, you know, the space to develop our space. The space to develop who we are as people, and to then, you know, give us the confidence to branch off and start to really do our own thing. Because you know, if you had approached me, like, you know, when like a few months after we started, I don't think I would be near as confident to say, yeah, let's go and do this on our own, you know?
That's what's really cool about Public House Media, is that their motto, MO, is everyone has a voice. And they've really given us the chance to have a voice and to take our voices out there.
Yep.
So with that, I'm Lindsay.
And I'm Tegan. And thank you for getting nerdy with us here on Beauties and Headcanons.